Hello and welcome to the Soulfire Rising podcast. I'm your host, Kay Jack, the creator of Soulfire Rising. I created this podcast to help you on your soul journey, to help you align your head and your heart in service of your soul. These episodes are filled with little tidbits of wisdom that I've either learned or experienced, usually both, that I hope helps you in your journey and on your path. Today, I'd love to chat about something that is coming up for me a lot lately in honoring who I am and who I came here to be, and really igniting my soul fire. Doing this practice gives me space to rise into my full potential, and it's something that I help others with. I teach this, and I'm also always a student of this. And I think if we can always be a student first and foremost in anything and everything that we do, including life, that's when we can humble ourselves enough to learn and to continue to grow into everything that we are meant to be, everything we desire to be, everything that we can be. So today I want to talk to you about witness consciousness and what this means, why we need it, how to cultivate it. So this witness, or I like to think about it as this third party perspective. It's when we can watch ourselves and also still be in our present experience, but there's also a part of us that's watching and kind of making sure that everything's going well, that we're staying true to who we are and what we're up to in this life. So if you can think about any time that you've maybe been in an argument and you chose to say something different, your witness probably popped online and you were like, okay, whew, shouldn't say that. This is a way better way for me to communicate what I mean. That's the witness. The witness coming in and going, okay, hey, this is what alignment looks like. Slow down and do this. And the more times that you have practice with that of like, okay, here's what's happening. Here's who I am. And here's how I want to respond. The quicker we're able to respond. At first it might take you pausing whatever's happening, whether it's leaving the room or asking whoever you're speaking with to give you a minute or closing your eyes, taking a micro moment for yourself and then communicating from there, a couple deep breaths, things like this. But eventually you'll be able to have a witness while you're operating. So it's almost like you have little bumper rails. It's almost like you're being guided in the moment because you can also see the path. So it's seeing the forest and the trees all at the same time. And it takes practice to be able to do this. It takes practice to be able to witness your being in the present moment. Of course, there's going to be many times in life where you get totally wrapped up by the present moment. And that's fine. We're human and we're meant to enjoy and live and love and all of these things. So this isn't meant to be a practice that stresses you out. It's just about slowing down and feeling the present situation at a more expansive level so you can help yourself, you can help the people around you and the world. So when you are creating your reality consciously, when you're very present and very awake, you can have a great impact on your life and the life of others around you. If you've ever taken a yoga class or a conscious movement class, the way that you watch yourself as you move, the thoughts that go in your head, you can witness those thoughts. Or even if you're alone and you're like, what? Like there's something, I'm talking to myself here. Who are you talking to? So that's often, what people will refer to as their witness, the person watching it all happen as you're living it. So if you've ever had this experience, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. But the real crux of witness and witness consciousness is how to tune into this perspective in a more real-time way, a more consistent basis. So that way you're consciously saying things, you're consistently working with who you are, your authentic truth, and how you show up in the world. So, a practice that I like to do that's aside from conscious movement and meditation, and I do believe that in order to develop this, you have to, or you want to, if you want to develop this, you really want to be sitting in a practice like this where you're watching your thoughts, your body, your mind, your emotions for a few minutes a day. And it doesn't have to be a really long time. It can be a couple minutes. But I noticed that once I started to honor my soul really so much, where every day I didn't wake up and not do this. Every day I wake up, and even if I'm lying in bed and I'm spending a minute just watching and checking in and doing it, then that's enough. And while you might experience different things if you do it for longer, for 5 minutes or for 35 minutes, that's wonderful. But all it takes to tune into this and to really live in alignment is to do it for at least a minute. Just it's being conscious. And that's even the first practice of being the witness, being a third party perspective in your life. How do you give yourself that gift of, hey, I think we could have done this better? I don't think you want to say it that way. Because a lot of the time we get caught up in the primalness of what we are as humans, and we can react rather than respond, right? So being able to pull yourself out as you're living in your moments, even in the joyful moments, even as you're celebrating, like if you're able to give your vows to your loved one, your partner, and also, there's a part of you witnessing the gift of this love. How beautiful is that? And how much more rich does it make the experience? And if you're in an argument, it can be really challenging to pull yourself out. And while you're there and while you're feeling all of what you're feeling, be able to play with, like, okay, what does my soul actually feel, think, and say? And a lot of the times we would respond and act differently if we were acting in alignment with our soul's truth. We're going to constantly need to do this throughout our lives, but it's about the practice, I think, of keeping ourselves so aware that we know, okay, yes, this is coming from my heart. This is coming from my truth. My head is online. It's connected to my heart. I'm in this and we're together, and I'm not just reacting to whatever's happening in front of me. There's a part of me that's watching and helping me orchestrate my life. A lot of people might even say that this is your higher self. This is the part of you that's connected to the ineffable, the bigger than you. And that might be true, and that might be true for you. I found in my life, if I can witness myself, so a way that I imagine, I'm a really visual person. So the way that I imagine this is, if somebody were to set up a recording camera of my life, and say it was me, say I set up a recording camera of my life, and I know I've got to watch the tape back every day. At the end of the day, I'm going to rewatch the tape and see what I could have done better, or see where I was out of alignment with the reality I'm trying to create. So if you're trying to, for example, live from your heart, right? Live in love, and you want to communicate from your heart, you want to communicate things in that kind of a manner. And you see yourself in your replay, right? You've got this video camera of your day, you see yourself getting angry or getting mad at your partner or your friend. You think about it, I could have just asked this question or said it this way, and things might have gone differently. And that's really true. How many times in our life do we take ourselves off of our path because we lose that perspective of, okay, here's the greater picture. Here's where I'm going. Here's where I'd like to go. Here's where I'm growing into. And I want to be more like this, or I want to cultivate this within me. And often I think some of the biggest hurdles that stand in our way when it comes to stepping into our soul fire, stepping into our authentic truth, our path in the world, is simply this: it's losing the plot. It's forgetting in each moment to be fully there, to be fully present to your life. And you can do this by witnessing. And I know that kind of sounds interesting. It sounds like, well, how do you live and also, witness? It becomes a very fluid practice the more you do it. And the more you practice conscious movement, like a yoga practice or a dance practice, things like this, or meditation, and you're watching your thoughts, you're watching your emotions, the more that will just start to weave into your life and be a part of it. So I really encourage folks to do more of that in their lives as much as they can. And of course, that could be a minute. It doesn't have to be a whole thing. It can be a small thing. It can be a tidbit. So remember that as you're developing this practice. There's two things there. When you've got this video camera on you, so when I think about, like, okay, if my life was being recorded, how might I act? Right away, The thought of being observed changes things for me. You might want to try this for yourselves, but I find that if you know you're being observed, it will change the way that you operate. It'll change your choices. And usually for the better, for as long as you know who you are, what you're after and where you're growing into, those moments of observation, you can really align with what you're up to. So just even thinking about being observed will change the way that you act and allow you to act more in alignment with your truth. I love the double slit experiment. If you look it up on YouTube or anywhere on the internet, you can find this. They studied what happens when things are observed, and it changes the way that they act. So thinking about that, like, if I know that somebody's watching, the guides, your angels, anything you believe in that's outside of yourself, and even your higher self, your third party perspective, that wisdom part of you that can watch and help you act in your life in a way that's in alignment with you. So thinking about that, you will act differently knowing that, yeah, I want to observe this. I want to watch my life. I want to see how I'm unfolding. And that's really the inquiry, is constantly being in that contemplation of how can I be here the best way that I can be here. And that's what creates the reality that you will be so, so stoked to be a part of. And that's really been coming up for me lately in my practices. And, allowing this authentic living really reveals your areas of opportunity, those places that you need to grow still, or that you have space to grow in. For the rest of your life, you'll be growing. Living. As long as you're living, you're growing. You're growing, you're changing. So honoring those things that come up within you, and there's layers, and you'll keep peeling back layers and all these things. And I think that if we can utilize this videotape, this game tape that we get to watch back, at the end of our days, you might review your day and see what could have went better. But the more we are living in alignment, the more that practice will fall away, because you really don't have to think about it anymore. You're in it and you're present, and your witness is like, yep, you're on the right track, or, oh, we pause, let's say this better. So the more of you that you can bring to every moment, that's really what's going to shift and change this witness perspective for you. It's going to allow it to have more meaning. It's going to give more meaning into your life. The more that you can be observed in your truth, the more that you will be authentic to you. The more you can be aware of those moments that are distant from what you truly wish to experience and how you want to live, the more you can consciously create your reality around what you do want. And you can take the moments that didn't go so well and figure out, okay, I've got this to work on, or I need to grow more into this, or I can do better here. Who do I need to talk to, or what do I need to seek out to help me grow in this area so I can be more in alignment with what I say? And if you think about it in a purely physical form, if you think about you working out and having a fitness goal, there are different choices that you might make during your day that will either facilitate or completely disengage your goal. So, depending on what your goal is and who you want to be and how you want to be, your choices will change. And thinking about it in a purely physical point, it's not that, if you want, say your fitness goal is to be able to run a mile in 7 minutes. You're going to have to choose different training. You're going to have to choose different shoes. You will have to choose a different outfit, even a different coach, a different way to eat. All of these things will contribute to you actually finally having the reality of running a mile in 7 minutes. So this goes the same for our soul. If you wish to create a different reality in your life, whether that's having more love in your life, or having more joy, or experiencing more awe and wonder, or traveling more even, all of these things, the more that you shift who you are to be willing to accept those things into your life, the more that they will come to you. So it's really getting yourself aligned, and alignment looks like being present with every single moment consciously and witnessing where you need to shift and change or where everything is going well. And yes, this is great. This works. This will get me exactly where my soul's headed. So just thinking about this, how can you be the witness? How can you live the life that if you were watching it on your playback, you'd say, yes, this is where I'm going. This is where I want to be going. This is what I want to be doing. Or would you watch the playback and say, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that? And also having grace with yourself and in those moments of, oh, that was an interesting one. Have the grace to be able to sit with yourself and say, I did the best I could. I would like to do better. But right in that moment, I did the best I could, or I thought I could. And I apologize for the ripples that it caused if you hurt somebody in the process or you hurt yourself in the process. That's a big one that we often disengage, that we often just push to the side. I hurt myself on that one, or I'm hurting myself on this one. Like, have that grace, and in that grace, humility will come. And with humility, you'll be able to shift, grow, and change. So I hope that this was a new perspective for you. I hope that you're able to take this into your life and into your world and start to practice with becoming the witness, becoming a little bit more of the videographer behind the scenes, making sure, hey, I don't know if you want to do it that way, or hey, and learning how to blend that present moment, oh, let me make this little shift with what you're doing and how you're living. So that way you can create the reality that is most in alignment with you and your soul and rising into your truest expression. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.